Okay, awesome, we're back. So in this video, we are going to continue building our twin stick shooter, and we're just gonna set up our temporary level. So it's the only level that we're gonna use throughout these videos. It's gonna be super basic, it's gonna be really quick to assemble. So let's start off by going to File, New Level, and we're gonna start with a completely empty level. We're gonna build up from scratch. Now we're gonna build this level entirely out of BSP and then apply some materials from the starter content. So let's go over to the BSP category over in the modes tab. So we're in placement mode right now. Let's drag in a box. It's amazing. It's the best looking level you've ever seen, right? No, it's not. So let's take the size of this and change it. We're gonna go to 2,000 units. 2,000 units and 100 units. By the way, if you're totally new and you're following along with this for the first time, Unreal units are centimeters. I'm American. That means I have no idea how big anything is. So now that we've got our floor plate set up, that's not even a fun. None of my jokes are funny, I promise. So let's grab a new box. So let's drag another box in, and we're gonna give this some slightly different dimensions, right? So let's do 2,200. We'll leave Y to 200, and then we'll set Z to 300 for a nice wall height. Okay, now we need to just turn this into some walls. And to make that a little bit easier, we're gonna change our view. So let's go under the camera settings. Let's change this from perspective. We don't wanna use the perspective view. We wanna use the top view. Now, to make placement of these brushes a whole lot easier, I'm gonna come under my snap settings here, kind of at this, this toolbar at the top of the viewport, and I'm gonna set these to 100, which is a huge snap. Now, we need to re-snap these brushes to the grid, and here's a fun fact. You can click on any BSP brush, you can right-click on a vertex, and that will snap it right to the grid, so that'll be a nice trick to speed this up. So what you want to do is move the wall so that it's lined up on one edge and overhanging by 200 units on the opposite edge, like so. Then I'm going to hold down the Alt key and I'll move this over here. Now that's with the move tool, right? If you don't see the move tool, make sure you hit the W key so that you have that. Then I'm going to hit the E key. That's going to get out the rotate tool. We'll rotate this 90 degrees, and then I'll slide it down a little bit so it's nice and flush right up against the edges. Now, let's grab both of these together. I'm going to hold down the Alt key once again and drag out a copy of both of them at the same time. We'll rotate the whole thing 180 degrees, get the move tool back out with W, and pop it right into location. So now you can see everything is nice and flush and fitting very well. You can also check this in one of the side views, being the left or right views. And you can see it's lining up pretty well, but the floor is down a little bit. So let's snap the floor up like so that everything has a nice clean line across the bottom, so that now if we jump back over to the perspective view, here's what we have. It's just a little contained area. Again, super, super basic. It's about as simple as it gets. Now, let's add some materials to this. Now, we've added the starter content to our project, so adding materials is going to be super simple. What I'm going to do is select one of the faces, one of the panels that you see here on this BSP brush. So you can actually click individual faces. We're going to grab one of these, and then go over to the details panel on the right-hand side, and there's a little select drop-down box hiding right in here under the geometry group. So click on select and grab select matching material. So that's going to grab all of the surfaces that are using this exact same material. And now that you've done that, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold down Control and deselect the floor. So notice that's now got all the walls, but doesn't have the floor. Let's go under the starter content here in the content browser. I'm going to close up everything I don't need. Let's expand the starter content with a little white arrow there. Let's grab the materials folder, and there's a lot of materials to choose from. You do not have to use the same ones I'm using. In fact, I encourage you not to. Make this your own game. I'm gonna grab the brick, clay, old, and drag that right onto one of these selected surfaces. And there you go, we have bricks. Oh, I don't like that. Let's do the newer bricks. There you go, much nicer. Now, if you wanted to, you can change the sizing of these a little bit. Like you could take the scale and adjust it. You can make all kinds of tweaks. I'm gonna leave this pretty basic, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Let's now take the floor. So I'm just gonna click on the floor surface And let's see, we've got, oh, I don't know, I'm kind of selecting at random. Let's grab the concrete tiles material and I'll drop that in there. And then just to be fun, we'll rotate that 45 degrees. And if we get right down on that, you'll see it's got some nice little diagonal tiles now. Now currently, everything looks super flat in our level, and that's because we technically have no lighting. Now we can add lighting. Let's go under the lights category here inside the modes panel on the left-hand side. And I want you to drag in a directional light. Now a directional light simulates parallel lines of light that are coming from infinitely far away. So it's perfect for things like the sun and whatnot. So we'll just drag that in. If you'd like to give that a different rotation, you can. You'll notice it adjusts all your shadows and so forth. But before we call it on lighting, let's also, just for the fun of it, add in a skylight. Now a skylight will produce lighting as if it were coming from the inside of a dome that was infinitely far away. So it's a nice way to get kind of ambient bounced light, which tends to look really nice. So we'll drag one of those in, and then I want you to go into the details panel, scroll up to the top of the details panel with that skylight selected, and take the source type, and we're going to change this from the captured scene to a specified cube map. Now, since you grabbed the starter content, there's actually a cube map included, and it's an HDRI image of the courtyard of the Epic Games campus. So we can select that, and you'll notice, if you want to see that texture, by the way, we can open it up. So it's like a big 360-degree pano of the little grassy courtyard in front of Epic. But because there's a lot of blue sky showing, it adds a nice little bit of blue lighting into the corners and looks pretty good. Now, we need to build our lighting. So just reach up here to the top of the toolbar and click the build button, and you'll just have to wait a moment. It's going to fire up Swarm because it's apparently the first time I've built on this machine. So as soon as that's done, it's going to send all the data off to Swarm. It's going to, there you go, it's exporting it out, and then it's building it. It should be a really fast build. Yep, and there you go. Boom, so we have our lighting built and everything is good to go. There's only one more thing I want to do, and I don't recommend you do this for your own games. In fact, pretty much for none of them. I'm just going to do it here because reasons. It makes me happy, at least for this project. We don't have a lot of interior, exterior transitions in this game. We're always in the same environment. We're always outside. And the eye adaptation, or this automatic exposure, is kind of blasting out. It's making this whole scene very, very bright, which is it's okay. But later on, when I start really pushing forward on this game, we're going to be shooting lasers, and I want those lasers to have a really pronounced glow. So to manage that, I'm going to pull down this auto exposure so it's not quite so obvious. So, in fact, I think I'm actually going to kill it. We're going to turn it off. So what I want you to do, if you agree, if you want to do the same thing, of course you don't have to, let's go under the volumes category and scroll down to a post-process volume, and we're going to drag that into the world. Now, I'm not going to worry about sizing that up to fill my world. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get it way up here out of the way, where I'll never have to see it, never have to interact with it. But with it selected, under its settings, make sure you check unbound, and now it just fills in the whole world no matter where it's placed, which is super handy. Next, go under post-process settings and you'll see auto exposure. Now, auto exposure has a lot of different settings, and you can mouse over each one, and there's a cool tooltip to tell you how to use them, so keep that in mind. But we're going to take max and min brightness, and we're going to set them both to a value of 1. That is really going to crush that dynamic feel of our scene. But later on, again, as we start adding things like big glowy lasers and flashes and flickers and things, that'll start to that'll create our contrast. Basically, it's having a nice bright laser. We wanted to worry about it from like a sunlight. Okay, so with that, we have set up our lighting. We've built our world. Let's go ahead and save. So go to File, Save, and ooh, we need to put this into its own folder. So in the Content folder, right-click and choose New Folder, and let's call this Maps, and make sure that we're inside of that, and let's call this the Arena Map, and click Save, and let that do its thing, and there you go. So we've built our map, it's saved, we're ready to go, and with that, that's going to wrap up this video, so let's move on.